The entire Machakos town is in darkness. The entire county is in darkness. Now we cannot even, wananchi wanauliza siku za Mutua taa zilikuwa zinawaka, saa hii zimekwama. Shida iko wapi waziri? Tukiuliza tunaambiwa ni wewe ndio umekwama, wewe ndio umekataa kulipa. Is it you? And I want you to be very honest. Don't carry anybody's cross. Is it you or is somebody else? Ni nani? Because if it is you, then we can know how to handle you. If it is someone else, then we start knowing how we are going to start dealing with them. We don't want to heap all the blame to you. But as it is, everybody is heaping blame to Waziri Kuyu. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kavyu. And I pray that we can be brief. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When the officer was making his submission, he highlighted that as the county government, we don't have any payment outside the infamous system. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I would like him to clarify on the 2023-2024 auditor's report. We have a variance of 159.7 million that is not captured by Infimis, but they are appearing as expenses on the financial statements for the same period, and this relates to other operating expenses, domestic travel and subsistence travel, foreign, and we have other operating expenses. It has a variance of 214 million. 358. So that comes to a total of what was recorded under financial million against 24.5 million that was captured in the Infimis. So would like him to clarify that. Secondly, the officer talked of in terms of pending bill. He indicated that they are looking for a way of restructuring the same so that we can have the current pending bill paid by a third party who will enter into an agreement with county so that it can be paid on a continuous basis. Madam Chair, the clarity that we want from the officer. Every financial year we normally have budget allocation for every development or even recurrent expenditure that we intend to undertake. Why are we not paying using those funds for the legacy pending bills? That's a different case. But for what has been incurred from financial year 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, going forward, why are we not paying our people? Secondly, Madam Chair, immediately after the third government of the county government of Machakos came into office, there were several task forces that were appointed and tasked with the duty of going through. There was a human resource task force, there was the pending bill, and the other one was? There was lands, water task force, and Madam Chair, all these task force, at some point, we saw them presenting those reports at our headquarters. So, and to date, Madam Chair, no report of those task force has ever found its way here. So, one of the objectives was to smoke out cases of ghost workers and people who shared similar bank account. Madam Chair, that was captured recently. We still have a case of people sharing accounts, and we still have the 487 million that is being paid outside the system. Maybe the officer will clarify. Could it be a case that we still have ghost workers who are being paid? Because if I'm a county worker, the expectation is I will provide all the document and my details are captured under the IPPD system, so that at any point we see. So we want the minister to clarify, because we have had cases where we are employing people who are past the retirement age. Could those be the people who are being paid under the outside the system? And lastly, Madam Chair, we want the officer. There was an advertisement that was made to hire 420 revenue clerks. We want the officer to clarify what are their terms of service. Are they permanent or are they on contract? And because that could be the problem why we are losing money. If you pay somebody poorly and they have an opportunity to come into contact with our revenue, I don't want to call it stealing, but there might be temptation for them to kujipatia pole na pesa yetu. So we want that clarity. And lastly, maybe we also want him to share with us. There was some time that the chief officers for the departments alleged that they were not in control of the procurement system, that procurement had been centralized. So we want the officer to clarify whether is it still the case, and if it is not, are the chief officer in total control? Because there is difference between being in charge and being in charge of the paperwork. We want to know whether they are in full control, because that's how we'll cure this issue of people saying it is finance who have not approved our procurement process. So that is the clarity we want. And we also want to understand in terms of the 2024-2025 budget implementation, where are we as at now? We are into the fourth quarter and our people are yet to get any development from the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Avyu. You are the next person? Proceed, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving this opportunity. I think I need the attention of the Waziri, because I know many questions are coming in, and I'll go to the issue of the wage bill. I know earlier the Waziri explained how they found the target of the wage bill was high and low, and he explained the issue about wage bill. But from a layman's understanding, if you do overemployment, definitely the wage bill will go up. And another cause of high wage bill would definitely be if we do some employments. We've seen a lot of advertisements in the dailies about jobs that already have some people. For example, there was the recent advertisements. I know probably it may not lie in your docket, but I believe as CCM, you should be in a position to advise when it comes to, if we are employing for example, ward village administrators. And already we have village administrators in place who are P and P. Definitely it means that somebody will be replaced and go to a different place. On the issue of wage bill, you've explained that in your revenue collection, you've thoroughly employed or rather delegated into different departments, so that you find, okay, not delegated as such, but you've assigned people so that the collection of this revenue. But Waziri, if you go to some of these places, you'll find somebody is attending. Like one time I drove in Gateway Mall up there. You'll find over 7 revenue collectors attending some few vehicles. So you find they are overcrowded, and by the end of the day, they'll be paid with the money. So I don't know the rationale of these attendants for these cars. And Waziri, my other question will go to the biggest challenge you're having. You've always, not once, not twice, even during the presentation of budget, you've always spoken about this automation. You've always said that your challenge is automation. And from day one, you explained that you needed an automation. Now it's 2.5 years down the lane. And everything is surrounding up to automation. And you remember when you presented about explanation of how the system works, my point of concern was, one, you said that the system costed 0. And you're using a system which is costing 0, which is in function. There has to be a catch. Would you kindly expound what is the catch in this system that costed 0, but it needs also some money? That's my point. Point number 2, you've also explained that we've explained about leakages of these revenue sources. And Waziri, I've listened to you explain, for example, how the Adams module will work. And I just loved myself. As a technical person, I said that should be looked into, and go back and look into that, because it can be a recipe of another way of stealing money. Because if you've left it in my side, I'll be building a 4-story building, and then nitaek hapo, because it's automated. So just like the shift, the way shift people are doing, somebody is being paid a lot of money, but they want to pay the lowest amount. So that we don't put all our efforts in the automation, let also there be checks and balances, so that we don't have an automated stealing, which is more worse than the physical, because it will benefit few. I'm sorry to use that word. We should also scrutinize very deeply. And lastly, because I don't want to take a lot of time, Waziri, you spoke about revenue. The governor has been on record that they will never had they'll never increase anything. And you've stated how in the report, which I would love to read very much to see how we can get those 6 billion. But people are crying. People from my ward are crying, because you started collecting revenue in the way you've said it is an invoice. It's a way of invoicing, which is very automated and nobody is interacting in the system. But did you explain to the people? For example, people are somewhat getting harassed for their SBM, that is the single business permit, because the owner has not paid the land rates. And you find now these people become harassed. You don't have an SBM, the owner is there. So you find ule mfanye biashara anaumia zaidi na anapiga kelele. Akipiga hiyo kelele ikipigwa inakuja kwetu kwa waheshimiwa, na sisi tunatafuta njia. Na sababu ile kubwa we are here is to get answers. And lastly, this is how pending bills come, and I know you know this. Pending bills are not caused by pesa imekuliwa. Pending bills come as a result of poor procurement and poor payment. I know it's not in your mandate unless you've overtaken to pay. Whoever is supposed to pay should be the CEO, who happens to be Kasanga, because he's the paying officer. If I'm wrong, I may start to be corrected. So through him, I think it is also good for Kasanga to explain to this honorable house, why have people worked and why have they not been paid? Because Kuyu, you are not the paying officer. The paying officer is Kasanga, and he is seated next to you. He should explain why have people worked and why have not they been paid. Secondly, as a system, if you look at, we inherited 2 billion. We inherited 2 billion pending bills. Right at the moment, we are at 1.3. It doesn't need a prophet to tell you that by the time this government, whether it will be forming the next government or whether it will be transiting for the next year, that will be having more than 6 billion. If in a year it is March and no procurement has been finished, in the month of all these monies will translate. And Kasanga, you can bear me witness. And every time we summon people here, let malice not be read, because it happened that it's a committee of the whole house. We've been having these meetings before, so let malice not be read, and let people not come with feasted hands. Let it work. And if people are not ready to work, there is usually a way out. So I think I've asked my questions, and I'll stop there at the moment. Of concern, hii system ni kama ile ya SHA na Adani tulisikia inalipwa 2.5% inaenda kwa Wahindi. Tueleze pesa ngapi huyo mtu ameprovide hii system anakula. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Maeke. Mheshimiwa Katiti, and then Mheshimiwa Joanna. Sorry,
Point of information is you give the next speaker, Madam Speaker.
Sorry?
Point of information. Madam Speaker, I am seeing us taking a lot of time with one speaker. Can we have some controls, like give every member 2 or 3 minutes, so that we can have a time to speak, all of us, because I can see everyone want to speak. Can we have some limit on time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes? Because Honorable Moeke has taken 17 minutes on his submission. Madam Speaker.
I was being very polite. I was... No. Mheshimiwa Maeke, address me. Mheshimiwa Maeke, address me. Yes. Address everything through the chair. I am here, I am in control. That's why I was being very polite when I said, let's just take the shortest time possible. Kumbe, I was wrong. I should have a timekeeper. I switch off the mic.
Madam Speaker,
yes.
If you allow,
yes.
I also think that we need to agree, like how many questions do we put, then he responds, and then we do another set of questions, because we could ask a lot of questions, and then they are just the same question. Maybe we could allow Waziri first to respond that, because I could be having a question, and in the process of him speaking, he answers, and then it would be a pass for me. So can we in consensus that we allow him to answer the ones that we have already taken? Yes. Then I take another set. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mheshimiwa Waziri, you can take the stand, please.
Thank you, members. I think through the chair, I like this session. Information is power.
Thank you.
We can't live under we can't live under a point of no information and blame games. Sure. This business of blame game must be tamed, must come to an end. Madam Speaker, are being asked about controls we put to deter leakages. Madam Speaker, and in my presentation, I touched on quite a number. Maybe I go specific to the few issues, the four that you've raised, so that I don't repeat in the interest of time. The issue of quarries. Quarry, I talked about mapping because Matungulu, Katani, and Lukenya, they are very porous because they also happen to be sand harvesting areas. So the first thing we are doing is remapping. The second thing we are doing, and I've talked about the enforcement officers, Madam Speaker, they were completely out of system. They were enforcing outside the system. And the way the system is supposed to work is first line of defense, the revenue officers who report to finance. Second point of defense, inspectorate officers who report to a different department for the checks and balances. And I've just said this, Madam Speaker. The 700 plus inspectorate officers were not in the system. And the last 12 years, for the members who have been here, it was a tall order as well. The revenue was not where it is. The 408 staff whom were employed took the revenue further by 500. But these leakages on level 2 defense, because even if level 1 colludes with the track owners, level 2 is supposed to arrest. We are trying to make it very expensive not to comply. Because the moment you've released a battalion of 700 people, even if you compromise one, you pay 1,000 and you are supposed to pay 3,000. You'll get a second one, third one. By the time you are done, you paid 100,000. So the first thing is to make it very expensive not to comply. Building approvals, Madam Speaker. And when I began on why several departments were involved, I gave the basis. Yes, we have the portal where the customers are supposed to engage with the system, place the applications, get an invoice with a reference number, then you pay. After payment, what you get is a receipt. Before the building approval is given, that application is allocated by the system on load balancing. It's allocated to a planner in that sub-county. The planner and other technical team, they are supposed to go to the ground and confirm the information that you keyed in the system. Is it true? So there's yes, the system, but backed by outside controls. Land rates, Madam Speaker. We had initial instances where the system was not able to manage issues, or maybe people waiving, because we have Machakos Stats and Administration Act. Currently, as it sits, I said on these structured revenues, they are on a register. We have done, we've done bulky invoicing for land rates, ground rates as well. And if a customer has an issue on that, an officer cannot amend outside the system. There's a process of amending, which is watertight. The revenue sharing, Madam Speaker, and that will answer quite a number of, several people asked the same question. I did put it very clearly. A revenue system of this magnitude that can run an entire county would be very expensive, would run into hundreds of millions. Okay, if we were to go on, it would be more than 500 million, Madam Speaker. Here we are talking about cash flow. During hard economic times, so it is an egg-chicken situation. Were we supposed to work on the old system and wait when we have the cash flow, or we start from somewhere. It is a contract for 2 years, and nothing binds us. If we come, we happen to get enough money, we can exit. There. Madam Speaker, on the issue of the sharing, we don't have amounts. Madam Speaker, the sharing formula is not about amounts. Should be a percentage, because the amount is determined by a percentage. Madam Speaker,
just say the percentage.
The percentage, and I also want to reconfirm, because I don't want to give a figure that I'm not, a percentage that I'm not sure.
Yeah.
From my technical officer, I'm not a procuring. Yeah.
I have not allowed you, Honorable PK.
Madam Speaker,
to question the.
Madam Speaker, a minister is a policy person.
Yes.
I have an accounting officer who, the system, I have an accounting officer, and by the time we came here, because the file is with the solicitor.
Yes.
Just hold on.
Anything you are not sure about, don't say.
Yeah, I don't want to say, because
things.
the file the file is with the solicitor.
Yes.
Because he has to register the agreement.
Yes.
So I need to get hold of the file myself.
Yes.
But I know it has to be a single digit, because the law, you can't go beyond a single digit.
Then you can provide that.
I can provide, yeah. On the pending bills.
Proceed.
I don't want to cheat the House. I'm under oath.
Honorable Chair.
Don't cheat. I have given you permission just to bring the information.
I will. I'm guided.
Because I don't want you to say the wrong things.
Honorable Chair.
It's not important.
Just to remind you that as we were starting the session, the ECM took oath.
Yes.
And what is the essence of taking oath? So that he can tell us the truth. If he tell us something which is not sure, we will cite him for contempt. So let him verify and bring the correct information.
It's actually called perjury in law, and it is a criminal offense. Yeah, so just say the right things. What you are not sure, you can bring us that information later. We are not going anywhere. Members, are we going anywhere? Yes. Let's just provide the information later, the right one. Go ahead.
So, Madam Speaker, on the pending bills,
Good morning. Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 11th day of March 2025, and it's good to have you. As we get into conversations around the matters affecting the country, we'll be talking about key topics. If time allows, we'll talk about the situation with the Auditor General's report, and we saw Parliament saying a few things last week against those offices, the Office of the Auditor General and the Office of the Control of Budget. We'll also speak about the deal between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto, and also looking at the parliamentary reorganization, the committees and the appointments that we've seen there. In studio, I have Geoffrey Wandeto, Member of Parliament for Teto Constituency in Nyeri County. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, Sam.
It's been so long. Where have you been?
It's been a while. in between